Would you guys like to know how much revenue a gas station can generate? It'll surprise and shock you, so stick around and find out. On this episode, we are talking to Parm, Paul, Jesse, his wife Casey, and the other partner Jazz couldn't make it. They're a family-owned business that own a total of 8 gas stations.
So today we'll tell you how we turned a $1 million investment into a $37 million yearly revenue.
That's huge, so stick around to find out about that and a lot more. So Parm, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story, your family business. Tell us a little bit about your background and when you first bought your gas station.
So first gas station we bought, it was 2019. It's been 3 years. Now we have a total of 8.
Okay.
I did start in retail about 15 years ago. That actually kind of brought me into owning a gas station again.
That's awesome. So 8 stations, where are they all located?
So we have a couple of the stations here in Linden. We've got a Linden Arco here, Bender, Shell, and then we have one in Custer, it's also called Factory Shell, and then we have one in Mount Vernon, in Lake Stephen, and then we have another one in Snohomish. So all over, sort of in Snohomish County, Skagit, and Whatcom County.
Okay, and it's a lot of commuting, I bet.
It is.
To try to keep an eye on all of them.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and we're going to show you guys the Bender on Shell as well, so you can kind of get a different perspective. Tell us, when you first bought your gas station, how much was it, and how did you structure the deal?
So the first gas station we bought was the Arco gas station. So it was a $3.5 million gas station. We had to put down $1 million as a down payment. Down payment came in all from saving.
Wow.
Working hard for the last 15 years, myself and my husband Paul, owning a couple of trucks in the trucking industry, and Jesse, our business partner, also working full-time, managing a couple of the gas stations. So pretty much $1 million from saving puts that into buying the $3.5 million gas station. And
you financed the 2.5. So what's important that you can mention in terms of the financing side of things? Good realtor?
Exactly. So we had a pretty good lender. The rates were pretty good. SBA loan at the 5% interest was what we got it at.
Okay. So we're here at the Shell station here in Linden. Let's check it out and continue asking more great questions about how you guys do what you do.
Definitely.
One thing I wanted to start with is understand better your partnership, right? Because you said family business, but who's involved? Give us the names really quick and how all that came together.
So Paul, it's very close family. So basically myself, my husband Paul, and my brother-in-law Jesse, his wife, who's my husband's sister Casey, my husband's brother Dalwinder, and his wife Gurpreet, and we have a business partner Jess Kern.
Okay, and that's the Sunset location.
That's the Sunset location, and his wife Lakwinder.
That's a lot of different people involved. I mean, different characters, different everything, right?
Hey,
how do you guys make it work?
Yeah, we all have a one mindset. You know, gotta have a successful business. So we all help each other out, and we all have our parts in the business. Who does what? So I pretty much take control over the admin part of it, and all the guys do pretty much on the stockings and helping out with everything.
But a couple partners are basically silent partners, right? They don't get involved on a day-to-day.
Yes, not on the day-to-day. Yes.
That makes sense. I think this is an important question. And so if I want to become a gas station owner, how do I determine if I want to own a Shell, an Arco, or maybe just some local mom and pop shop and call it whatever? What are the pros and cons of branded versus unbranded?
With being branded, your brand is already out there. People already know about it. People already are aware of it, compared to being non-branded. Non-branded, it can be a little bit hard to market, hard to put your name out there. So having an Arco logo, basically, people already know about it. People already know what the gas is. My personal preference would be to stick with the brand. I've known it from experience now, and being a brand does way better.
Do you get a little bit of that franchise assistance in a way? You know how when you join a franchise, they give you the systems, the models, do this and it'll be good? Or it's not like that here, even though you have...
It's not like that here. There are stuff that we need to be in compliance with.
Right.
But overall, basically, it's just do it.
You're doing your own thing.
You're doing it on your own. Yeah.
Okay. So what absolute skills are needed to be a successful gas station operator, would you say?
So I would say you gotta be really good with customers. Customer service is the major key in this. If you have the customer service, know your customers, what they want, and you're able to bring it in for them, and that would be your key to have a successful gas station.
Anything else you want to add in terms of any other skills that would benefit and help besides customer service?
I would say just to know your market, know your community, know what's needed in that community, and try to have your store involved a lot more in community. So that way you get your local support, you get your community support. That has always been my number one key.
Okay, awesome. I think that's very important. Let's talk about location. I find gas stations in the middle of nowhere to in the middle of the city. How important is it? And kind of what would you be looking for to find your next gas station?
So location, Paul, is really important. If you don't have the market for it, then you're not going to be in the business for it. So for example, this location was a pretty good location right on the highway. Coming from Canada, this is the first gas station Canadians would hit.
Wow. Okay.
And also it's surrounded by a lot of industrial. So we get a lot of business from our local industrial. We get a lot of customers from the Linden area also.
Awesome. Man, it seems like location is the only important thing for a gas station.
It's the important key, yes.
Important key. Okay. Awesome. You guys check out our podcast as well. It's incredible. We talk to people as experienced as Parm and her team, ask a lot more in-depth questions about all kinds of industries. So check it out, upflip.com/podcast. Let's talk about marketing. I've always wondered and never knew, do gas stations market? If so, maybe differently, what are you guys doing to just keep your name out there?
Being a gas station owner, you don't get a lot of time to go out there to market anything for advertising or in social media.
Okay.
But we do go out there a lot. We are involved in community. We do sponsor some local teams. 2020 and 2021 with this COVID, we haven't had a really great success yet. But in 2019, we did sponsor a couple of teams.
Gotcha.
We do get involved in the local events. For example, farmer parades and things like that. So which actually really puts our name out there.
So how do you get involved? Is it like just print a bunch of t-shirts that says Linden Arco, or you're physically there waving the flag? Or
we do that.
what's going on?
Myself and my team, we go out there, we hand
nice.
out coffee cards, we hand out candies to the kids in the parades. And so the team that we sponsor in 2019, they end up actually creating jerseys which had a Linden Arco written on it, and the kids did walk in the parade wearing those jerseys.
Nice.
And we end up getting a couple of the jerseys for ourselves.
And people obviously know you're a gas station operator,
Yes.
local. Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That makes sense. What about overhead for this station? On average, what do you need to bring in just to cover your costs?
On average, you're looking at a payroll, looking at the expensive, anywhere close to $15,000 to $20,000 a month would be the expense.
That doesn't include inventory and fuel, right?
That does not. So
Interesting.
your inventory basically comes in from your cash flow. So you're buying and you're selling it. You're buying and you're selling it.
Okay. Yeah, you guys hear how they're busy? That door just doesn't stop opening and closing, opening, closing. This just speaks a lot about how you guys operate.
Yes.
Next question is like pricing. You got your recess, the usual candies.
Yes.
Since this is Arco, do they set prices or do you control that?
No, we control our prices. It's it all on what kind of margin you want to make.
Okay.
So we basically stick with pretty standard margin. We don't like to overprice anything, but we don't like to underprice anything either. So we have our set margin, and approximately we try to stay within the 30%.
30%. Is that across the...
That is a pretty standard margin.
On the inside sales, pretty much?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And then, so there is no specific Arco requirement that you carry certain products or anything. That's totally into your control?
That's totally on us, yes.
Okay. How do people make a decision to come to this gas station versus the one just down the street, for example? Because there's a lot of potential gas stations out there to choose
Exactly.
from.
There's a lot of competition when you think of it. Every corner pretty much has a gas station on it. It can be pretty challenging, but you just got to know your customers, know what your customers are looking for. My team and myself were great about asking customers, hey, did you find everything? Is there anything we can help you get it in the store?
I've never heard any gas station owner ask me that question
We
before.
definitely do that. So if there's something that we don't carry, we will ask and have that bring to the store. So that way, next time they come in, they have it in the store.
That's service.
So that makes us where people want to come and shop at this location rather than down the street.
Down the street. Okay. What else about determining whether a gas station's run properly or not? What's one person can look at to say, okay, if this is clean, then the rest of the place may be a good place to visit?
Hey, I heard from I was at a convention I did here. Hey, so your restroom is clean, your kitchen is clean. So my employees and
It's
myself,
true.
we stay on top of it. Cleaning is the one big thing that is a major factor in this sort of business. So keeping it clean store, good customer service is what brings our customers back in the store.
Absolutely. Well said. And that's probably what made you guys get to the $37 million annual revenue for all
Definitely.
stations. That's insane, you guys. Stay tuned for more awesome info. Where's your revenue at now across the stations on average per month?
On average, I would say on our slow stations, close to 250 to 300,000 a month, and our
Okay.
busy station, anywhere from 400 to 500,000 a month.
Wow, okay. And that's the number that will get you to the 37 million
Exactly.
together.
Together.
Guys,
Exactly.
37 million running and operating gas station.
Yes.
You guys know exactly what you're doing, and that's awesome. So as far as this Shell location, I think viewers would like to know, how does this Shell station make you money? Inside store sales versus outside? On average, where is it at?
On average, it's about 40% outside, 60% inside.
Okay.
So outside 40%, it was bring people inside the store.
Right.
So majority of your sale, majority of your profit is going to be from inside store.
And where are the profits? I know you mentioned at Arco that you typically go for about a 30% profit on the inside merchandise, right? Is that about the same here as well?
Exactly,
Okay.
about 30%.
And
yes.
where's fuel at? 'Cause I
Fuel,
would take
it all depends. Everybody likes to have their margin set differently.
Okay.
The lower the margin, more the volume. So that's how we like to go with it. So pretty much, typically anywhere from 20 cents to 30 cents is the average margin you want to stay with.
Okay.
Anything higher than that can fall into not being so busy. pretty
Gotcha.
much.
Let's talk about employees. How many employees do you have across the whole team? What do you pay them on average? And how do you know they're not stealing from you?
On average, each store we have 7 to 8 employees.
7 to 8, okay.
7 to 8, including one manager, so average about 8 to 9 employees.
But you have
And-
so that's like almost 40 people, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. With the minimum pay, we do have to pay a little bit higher to keep the staff. We are at $15 to $16 per employee per hour, and
As far as
how do you
stealing.
know they're not stealing?
Yeah, that's the
it's a little
truth.
hard. There's a lot of inventory. We do have an inventory system in place which keeps track what comes in the store, what goes out.
Right.
And if there is an issue that we find, we do audits, we do inventory cycle counts, which helps us to control our inventory and know if there's anything going out the door without.
How often are you doing inventory accounts, the visits with the
We
inventory
try
guy?
to do that once a month, so that way
Wow.
we have a good number of what our inventory is in the store.
Gas stations are known to be a target place for like scammers and thefts. Have you had any issues with that? If you could just briefly share an experience, and then what kind of security do you have at your locations?
Paul, luckily we don't have any issue, or we haven't had any issues at any of our sites yet.
Wow, good to hear.
We do have securities in place, so we do have a log book that we go out on our pumps every 4 hours to check, make sure nothing unexpected is on our pumps.
Interesting,
So
okay.
anybody who's working on that shift would go out there and check to make sure there's nothing on there, and they will come back and record it.
What are they checking specifically? What are they doing?
So
Is it
pretty
at
much
the pumps?
anything on the pretty much anything on the pumps, anything on the pin pad, under the pin pad, just
okay.
to make sure nothing has been
Tampered with?
tampered with. Yes.
But you've never had that issue?
We have not had any issue here.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Clearly you have gas stations in the right locations.
Yes.
That's the right stuff.
Exactly.
What system and software do you use to manage inventory across all the 8 stations?
So we have a couple of different softwares. At the Arco here, we have the software with the Verifone. So
Ver-
basically controls what we sell in the store, what kind of inventory we have in the store. And at the Shells, it's still pretty new.
Okay.
We have the S2K system there, which controls the inventory and what goes out at the registers.
Got it. Okay, is it a subscription you pay for, or is it something you buy once and then you operate it yourself?
You do buy that once, and there is a monthly charge on it.
There is, okay.
There is.
Do they help you with something, or it's just kind of a subscription charge is what you mean?
They do help you. So if you ever get stuck on something you need help with, they do provide you that customer service.
Customer support's
Yes.
is there? It's
There
not
is,
just like,
yes.
hello, anybody there?
Exactly.
Anybody?
And you will get a real person there.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. A lot of people are asking whether if you have a Shell station or Arco or 76, are those a franchisee-franchisor relationship, or what kind of setup and structure is it?
So it's basically a contract that you sign with a company.
Okay.
So contract can be anywhere from 10 years to 15 years.
Wow, okay. And that's it?
That's about it, yeah.
You basically agree to sell their fuel.
Exactly.
So it's all about the fuel.
It's all about the fuel. It's all about what brand you want to be with.
Okay. So now that we're talking about these gas pumps, I'm curious how often you have to fix them, how often they break, what breaks the most? Tell us about that.
The pump itself does not break that fast.
Okay,
The only
that's
thing
good.
we would ever have issue is with the nozzle. So these needs to be replaced depending on the use of the pump. I would say maybe once a month. But overall, we do have a maintenance contract with the company who comes in and does the repair on the pumps if it's needed, changing filters, and we also have company who come and does the regular inspections on the pumps, which is very necessary.
Are they related to Shell or anything, or just a third-party company?
It's just a third-party company that comes in, does their yearly inspections and their quarterly inspections.
What do they cost? Tell us a little bit about that breakdown.
That can run anywhere from $600 to $1,000. Sometimes it could be more depending on if there was anything else that it needed to be done.
So it's like a per hour thing, or per repair, per part?
It is by hour and by part, so it depends on what's needed.
Awesome. Okay, that's good to know. Guys, one thing I forgot to mention earlier in the video is that you check out our website, UpFlip.com. If you're looking for gas station opportunities, you'll find them there, and it's the best place to go. So some of your gas stations operate 24/7, others don't. Can you talk about how you came to that decision? How does one watching right now who operates a gas station, maybe who needs to understand, does he operate 24/7? Does he operate half the day? How do you make that decision? And really logistics with employees and everything, how does all that work?
So it all depends on where your station's at. For example, the Arco station is surrounded by a lot of industrial area. So there's some factories who are open 24/7 here. So making this one 24-hour totally made sense. So that way we get a lot of the shift work people who come in, work night shift, they have the chance to shop at the store. The other station, Vendor Shell, is 18 hours since there's not a lot of buildings or a lot of community in the area who would take the advantage shopping at night. So that one stays at 18-hour, and then one more station in Mount Vernon is the other one that we open 24 hours. That's again right on the highway, and we get a lot of traffic.
So traffic is the determining factor for how many hours you stay open. Is that really what it comes down to?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And what about logistics with employees working there and something happens at night? You as an operator work, do you get that phone call? Talk to us about those experiences.
I get the second phone call. So all of our stores have the managers who manage the sites. So the managers get the first call. If the manager doesn't answer, then I get the call. So most of the time, 90% of the time, the manager will arrange for someone to pick up the shift, or if they can't find someone, then they end up helping out, or we end up going and helping out.
Okay, so there's still potentially some involvement that we need to do, of course. One thing I noticed, and I know because we've been personally or professionally involved in terms of some of these deals, so your gas stations have another aspect to them that I don't see at every gas station. That is a food aspect, and we'll show a ton of B-rolls on that. You got Subway, you got Domino's. Walk us through the advantage of that or disadvantage of that, because it doesn't go to your revenue per se, or what does that do?
So basically, it does bring a lot of more customers in the store. So having a food is a major thing. So having a food, because people come to a gas station, they want to have something quick bite to eat, to fill up their tank, and on the way they go. So if there's a food involved, then it just makes it one quick stop shop. So that way they get their food, they get their gas, they get their snacks and their drinks, and off they go.
Is it an expense to you to have that component in a way, or
not at all?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's actually
because you're giving up your square footage.
It's actually more beneficial for us because it does bring in a lot more customers.
What software you use to know that the top items are always stocked, right? Is it a system? Is it a tool? Is it your own analysis and research? How does that happen?
It's basically everything. So our grocery distributor will give us the catalogs, which will have the top 10 items that you must carry.
Oh,
So
sneaky.
for example, in the salty snack items or in the candy aisle, it'll have the top 10 items. So you always want to make sure that you carry those top 10 on top of carrying what your customers would like.
Got it. So that's pretty easy for you. You already know
It
the
is.
top sellers, and that's from your
Exactly.
distributor.
And plus, you know your customers. So if your store's by a lot of kids, or if it's in a residential area, of course, candy is your go-to aisle.
Okay. I would think that there may be a lot of turnover in gas stations, but I think that would come down to the management, right?
It is.
I haven't seen that with your stations, so I want to know, what's your secret to hiring great employees and keeping them here for a long time?
So, Paul, there isn't really a secret, but what you want to look for is someone who's already had some sort of customer service experience and also who hasn't shifted from job to job. So pretty much anybody who's shifted job to job kind of gives you red flags. Hey, why is this person working only for a month and then moving into a different job? So that's what I look for. Basically, a long-term employment is what I look for, and just providing a good training in the store, just creating a good atmosphere to work in the store is what it basically takes to retain that employment here.
Okay, and I'm just curious, it's more of a blitz question, but I think it's important and ties to what we're talking about here. When you meet somebody that you're going to interview for the first time, like,
Yes.
what gives you good, positive vibes, and what is the opposite? Like
You
the
just kind
first
of
trigger.
know it from their first impression,
Okay.
how they are talking to you, how they're answering their question. You kind of know it if this is going to work or this is not going to work. And so far, I have not had issues at all where I've hired someone and didn't work out well.
Awesome.
Anybody that I've hired so far has been it's been staying and working here.
That's awesome. So were these stations brand new or existing in operation when you acquired them? And what are the pros and cons of buying something that's already in operation or building a brand new one?
So the stations that we bought were already existing gas stations. They were
All right.
already operating. Compared to buying in or setting up a new one could be challenging sometime because you don't know how well they're going to go. I've seen it in
Huge
past
risk.
experience where one gas station will do great and then the other one, whatever you thought it would be, but it doesn't turn out to be that way.
Right.
So being an existing gas station, there are benefits because the market is already out there and people already know about it, and you already have your customers.
That makes sense. You already see the numbers that it's doing.
Exactly.
And you pay value based on what it's generating.
Exactly. And
Okay.
then the benefit that you have is that to grow in more in sale. Since we've taken over, we've doubled the sales.
Wow.
That is all doing by knowing your customers, bringing in the right products.
That's insane.
That's all that helps.
It's possible. What kind of special licenses do you need to operate a gas station that differs from, say, a retail store down the street?
You really don't need any special license. The only thing you really need is a training, depending on if you're doing Arco, if you're doing Shell. So there are trainings that are required from those companies.
I see.
So, but for license-wise, you don't need any special license.
So give us a quick list of what licenses you have currently now to just operate
So
this.
currently, just the basic licenses. We have our liquor license, our lottery license, and we have our insurances in place for the business and for the tanks outside. And then, of course, for selling food, we do need a food permits.
This seems like a business where you have to have the most amount of licenses, honestly.
True, very true.
Is that true?
That is true.
Wow. Okay, so beware, but be prepared. Lots of income to be made,
Exactly.
but it's a process to get in.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think would be the most difficult part of operating and running a gas station before you bought one, and did that turn out to be the case?
So when I bought first one, I lived in Everett. So first we thought staffing would be a little bit difficult.
Okay.
When we bought the gas station, everybody stayed when we took over, and so far staffing has not been the issue. So we have not had any problems.
Nice.
Staffing was the big thing that I thought it would be the problem, but we have not had that.
Did you
issue
just
at all.
get lucky, or did you
I
put
think
the
we
right
just
people
got
in
lucky.
place?
It's a small town. Everyone kind of knows each other here, and the employees who've been working here have been here for a very long time.
Nice.
And they love it here. They love working here.
And as far as the fuel industry, gas stations, is there a seasonality to the business? Like summers are super busy, winters are completely dead. Can you walk us through the evolution of the January through December?
With this type of business, it's a 12 months. You do
That's
see
good.
your up and down. So basically, during the summertime, we have a lot of farmer workers here in this area. A lot of people are traveling, especially when the borders open. So we do see a lot of traffic during the summer. Some winter can slow it down a bit, but I wouldn't say a lot. So this is the business where you can pretty much make money throughout the year.
That's nice. You don't get that in every
You
industry.
don't get that, exactly.
Okay. How long did it take you to recoup your initial investment with the first gas station?
So the first one when we bought it was 2019, and second one we bought was in 2019, end of the year, so in December. We made enough so that way we were able to come up with a down payment to buy our second one. So from that generating income, from the second one, we went into buying a third one. So pretty much in 3 years now, we own 8 gas stations.
Yes, but let's say you put in, $1 million in your first one, your own cash. How long did it take you to get that $1 million back on that one station?
On that one station, I would say in profit, it can take you up to a good couple of years.
A couple years, okay.
Couple of years, yes.
That sounds good. That's pretty reasonable. And then you're all in profit after that's all recouped.
Exactly.
And then it's big party time.
Then it is, yes. Definitely.
Where do most of your customers come from? Like passerbyers, local travelers? How would you break that down?
So a lot of the customers are local customers, and I would say maybe 20% of them passing by would be, but majority of the 80% are the customers who live in the local.
Basically, you're dealing with 80% of repeat customers.
Yes.
In and out every day.
Repeat customers who we see on a daily basis, sometimes twice a day.
You know, we've interviewed a ton of companies, and the numbers are flip-flopped sometimes with them, but this is awesome that for you,
Exactly.
80% is people that are always going to come back.
Exactly.
Given a good customer experience. So on that note, how do you maintain that consistent customer experience with your employees across 8 locations? Are you training them a specific way? Are they having to do something weekly? Share that with us a little bit.
We have a daily checklist that everybody follows to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to maintain the store right, so customers do want to come back by stocking, by filling, providing a great customer service, and basically just knowing what your customers are in for and making sure you have it. So that brings them back over and over.
Quick question for you. For somebody watching right now who's operating only 12 hours and wants to maybe switch to 24 hours, what would you as an experienced operator do? Changes you'd make?
Yeah, so first thing what you want to do is you want to see if it is beneficial to open 24-hour, what kind of traffic flow you're getting, if it's going to be beneficial for the neighborhood to open the store for 24-hour. Second, you need to have a reliable staff. So staffing sometimes can be a little challenging in this type of business. So if you have a reliable staff, if you got a good management team who can manage it to have it open 24-hour, then 24-hour is the way to go.
But that's it, right? There's no changes physically that you have to make to the gas station, none of that stuff.
None of that stuff, yeah.
It's really the demographics around it, okay.
Exactly. You want to make it worth it. You want to make it make your time worthwhile.
And be profitable.
Be profitable, exactly.
That's what our channel's all about, making profits, real, true profits. How did the pandemic affect your ratio of outside to inside sales? Did that change?
For this location, yes, it did, because this location does depend a lot on the Canadian border.
I bet.
So we did see a lot of decrease in our gas sales, pretty much close to about 50%.
Whoa.
So 50% of it was coming from Canada. So, but inside the store, we have got a lot of community support, locals. So we've been busy inside, but outside definitely about 50% decrease.
Okay. And as far as across all the gas stations, what product would you say you sell the most of? I know we talked about the top sellers. What are they? Some of them, just out of curiosity.
A lot of it, I would say, salty snacks. So salty snacks, beer, it would be one of the big ones.
The place of salty snacks and beer.
And beer is the main thing, pretty much.
In this industry, I'm betting 100% you like certain things and dislikes others. So what is it for you? What do you favor? And then kind of what things do you dislike mostly about doing what you do?
I really enjoy working on the floor. I really enjoy working with customers, talking to customers, doing things out on the floor. I would say the one thing that I don't enjoy doing would be there's a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of tracking, a lot of bookkeeping. That is just the one thing that I would say if I was to least like it.
Okay.
Would be the one.
I bet there's a ton of paperwork.
There is a lot of paperwork.
One thing that we enjoy, you guys, is when you support us by hitting that like button. Only takes a nanosecond, so please do it. Thank you. This has been a great interview. What would be your one piece of advice to our viewers for creating the best customer experience in a gas station situation?
I would say know your customers, know what your customers are in for, ask your customers what they're looking for. Don't be shy to approach them, and just bring it in the store and have it ready for them.
Awesome. And if you live in the area of Linden or Whatcom County, come by and say hi to this wonderful team. So this has been great, Parm. Thank you so much to you and everybody else involved.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap, you guys. A family-owned business of 8 gas stations, and they're not done. They're going to continue acquiring more. Hope you took some golden nuggets and will execute on them. Thank you for watching. Take a nanosecond, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell so that you don't miss anything. We appreciate you a ton.